Hey, Kaufman is a live YouTube channel. I look at comic books new and old. Today I'm looking at a new comic book, The Ultimates #4 by Marvel Comics. This just came out in September 2024. It's $4.99. Dennis Camp is the writer. We've got a fill-in artist, Phil Noto. Um, the cover artist here is Dyke Ron and Niraj Menon, and I'm not familiar with their work. I'm aware of, but I really like the concept and design of this cover a lot. We've got Doom's mask here with these mice that all have traits of the Fantastic Four. There's a mouse on fire. We've got a stretchy mouse, a rock mouse, and we've got an invisible mouse, which you can barely even see. And the logo even kind of covers it up. And if I think they went in and shaded this in so you could see it, because all these Ultimate comics have this logo that is like branding that covers about a third of most of these illustrations on the covers, which I'm not a fan of. But on this one, it doesn't really matter because there's not much going on here. There's a lot of just white space. But they fixed that problem where you wouldn't be able to see the mouse. And they've started putting the entire artwork on the inside covers, so without any borders or anything else. So I'm really glad that they're doing that. They're doing it on all the Ultimate comic books now. So, I like that they're branding it both ways. So, and again, I like that this issue is issue #4 of the Ultimates. And this is the issue where we're going to be dealing with Doom, who is Reed Richards in this universe. But he doesn't know that the maker who created this Ultimate Universe is actually just an evil version of Reed Richards himself. Even though the maker created Doom, he created this Reed Richards who is Doom. So, and which is, we find out the origin of that in this issue. So, here's the Ultimates team, the roster. It's a pretty cool team. I really like all the additions so far, and I know in the next issue we're going to be seeing the first appearance of Hawkeye as well. So, now this story is told from 4 different perspectives, and every single page is laid out like this with the 4 panels. And I really like the storytelling in this book. It works really well. You could read this book up and down and get a story out of it, or you could read it across, all the way across, 4 different ways, and get the story told that way. And it actually all works really well. And it's all told from Doom's perspective. We get a story told from Doom, from when he's like an adolescent into his college years, creating this project where they're going to go to outer space. We see it from the perspective of him getting broken down, and the government ends up defunding him. And then we see it from the perspective after he's become Doom and him trying to make things right. And then we see it from the current perspective where he's on this Ultimates team with Iron Lad, and they've already tried to go back in time and fix as much as they can, but there's a lot of things that they can't go back and fix, including the Fantastic Four's original voyage into outer space that went wrong. It's something that Doom cannot fix. So in this entire issue, he's trying to work on Project 4, is what he calls it. And Iron Lad thinks that he's already abandoned this project, but he hasn't yet. He's still working on it. He's toiling away. He's kind of obsessed with it. And he talks about how he experiences periods of extreme despair, and sometimes during these times he calls it his negative zone. So that's definitely a reference, of course. And earlier in the issue, Iron Lad is asking him how he hurt his hands. He says he injured it in an experiment. We find out what happens there later, what happened there later in this issue, and we also get Iron Lad talking about how Doom hasn't been on any of their missions so far, like in any of the issues, which was something I noticed. Doom wasn't there when they were on their mission when they discovered She-Hulk, or in the second issue either when they were. Well, I guess he might have been in that one with Midas, but when they were battling Captain Britain, I don't think Doom was there either. So Iron Lad mentions that, and he calls himself Iron Lad too because he's a young Tony Stark, and he doesn't feel like he's earned the mantle that his father held, which was the original Iron Man, Howard Stark. So at this point, he's only calling himself Iron Lad. So, and we also see when Reed meets Sue and Ben. And he enlists Johnny to come with him because they need a fourth person. But Johnny dies in the space voyage. And then we see Ben apparently committed suicide in a rock quarry. And we see Doom working on his experiments here, the mice. And he says they keep dying. And he's trying to infuse them with the cosmic radiation to create these powers. So he's trying to bring back the Fantastic Four. So then we see Sue. She got cancer from the radiation of their flight. And her father is saying that they're just waiting for her to fade away. And he can't stand the sight of Reed. And then suddenly Reed finds himself captive with the Maker, and the Maker is just aging him super fast. We start learning how his funding was pulled away from him, how they were going to stop the experiment. But he goes ahead and they do it anyway, which ultimately leads to the downfall. And the Maker just keeps talking about how perfect the Maker is. He can do everything exactly how he wants, but Reed, he can't do anything right. Everything he touches is doomed. So then he just keeps torturing Reed. Doom gets offended that Tony tells Doom that he could try and help him with the experiments, and Doom says he doesn't know anything about cosmic radiation. And then he tells him that he doesn't know anything about loss like Doom does. We see Reed getting tortured some more here. Till finally the Maker completely deforms his face. And then we see how Doom broke his hands. He was just watching this happen back and smashing his hands into the video screen, basically. So the Maker is just trying to convince Reed that he is Doom. Very much like a Emperor and Darth Vader type of dynamic here between the Maker and Reed Richards, who is Doom. So finally he just tells Iron Lad that he should probably just be left alone. And he says, please close the door behind you. I have work to do. And we see his final transformation into Doom with the Maker behind it, which we saw if you read the Ultimate Invasion, and I think it might have been also told in the Ultimate Universe one-shot. that's kind of how their relationship kind of broke down, and how Doom came to team with Iron Lad and the Ultimates is kind of told there. So in this story, we're just learning how Reed became Doom and what happened to the original Fantastic Four. So we're assuming they're all dead at this point by the end of this issue. So, and it says 14 months remaining to end this, because there's this ticking clock where after the end of the 14 months, that's when the Maker will be back, because that's as long as they can keep him held captive. So, it's kind of interesting that they've started this whole new universe, and it's a good jumping on point, and I think they're telling some good stories here. But it feels like a lot of the things that seem so clever are really just callbacks to the 616 universe and things that we already know about the heroes. So I feel like ultimately this is going to lead to a giant crossover between the 6160, as this universe is called, and the 616, the original Marvel universe. So I feel like once the Maker gets released, since the Maker is from the original 616, he's been there before. I feel like that's where this is all leading. So I feel like at the end of the 14 months here, so that'll be what, around issue 18, I guess. Be interested to see where we'll be then. So I really like this issue. Phil Noto is not my favorite artist, but I really like the way they tell this story here. It's really well done. Telling it in 4 different ways like this throughout the whole issue is pretty risky, but they pull it off. Phil Noto's not going to be drawing any giant splashy pages or anything. He's got very simple storytelling. He likes to draw a lot of figures, from the waist up, and close faces and things like that. And we get that here, but it's a very coherent story. And, I think Dennis Camp's doing a really great job on this book so far. So I'll give this a recommendation for sure. And go check out my channel if you haven't yet. I post daily comic book reviews, and please subscribe and like and comment on, put notifications on, and all that stuff. I would appreciate it. Pretty new channel here, just started it recently, so all that stuff really helps. And I'll see you guys on the next one.